The alien delegate stood before the council, his tall, willowy form casting a shadow over the assembled dignitaries. His translucent skin shimmered under the lights, a sight familiar to most who had attended previous Galactic Council sessions. But today, his demeanor held a rare tension that made even the most stalwart representatives take notice. "Many of you," he began, voice smooth yet laced with an uncharacteristic edge, "have heard rumors of humanity's recent interventions in local skirmishes, perhaps even laughed off the reports as exaggerations. You find their actions surprising." He paused, allowing his gaze to sweep across the varied faces before him. "But you do not understand them. You see humans as resourceful, inventive, curious, even amusing. But you do not know what they are truly capable of when they are pushed beyond the breaking point." A murmur rose among the council members, exchanging glances that ranged from intrigue to dismissive. The delegate's pale eyes narrowed. "They possess a capacity for resilience, one that extends far beyond what you might consider logical. But there is another side to their strength, one I have only seen glimpses of. When a human reaches what they call their limit, they transform, allowing a force to surface that is as rare as it is terrifying." The alien's tone dropped to a near whisper, yet it cut through the chamber like a blade. "When humans go mad, they are a force no god, no entity, would wish to stand against." He gestured to a screen above the council floor, where images of past battles flashed, grainy, incomplete records of humans in desperate situations, their technology seemingly crude compared to the sophisticated weaponry of other races. Yet the footage showed instances where they had held their ground, fought with a ferocity that defied understanding, even with broken weapons and dwindling resources. Some in the audience stiffened, recognizing the faces of allies who had been defeated or outmaneuvered, often by much smaller human forces. "They survived, as you see here," the delegate continued, motioning to a still image of a shattered human outpost on a distant moon. "Despite the odds? Despite losing everything they had, ships, comrades, supplies. What drove them was not logic, not technology, but something far more primal. This is why I caution you to approach them with respect, to understand the danger in stirring their anger." The lights dimmed, and the footage ceased. The council chamber was silent, each representative sitting with unease, wrestling with what they had just witnessed. The delegate did not look at them as he spoke again, his gaze fixed on some distant memory. "Some call it madness, others resolve. But we—" he hesitated, almost unwilling to continue. "We once made the mistake of challenging them in a state they call madness. I was there. It was not a victory for them, nor a loss for us. It was a lesson." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. News of the alien incursion reached the human colony within hours. The attack had been unprovoked, brutal, and swift. Civilians scrambled to safety as the skies filled with alien warships, hovering with a menacing calm over the cities below. The initial strikes had been a show of strength, calculating and precise, wiping out defensive infrastructure in minutes. Those who survived were left watching in horror as their homes and livelihoods were reduced to smoldering wreckage. The colony's leadership sent out immediate distress signals, reaching Allied systems, begging for assistance, and hoping the invaders would relent. But hope was fleeting. The alien commanders ignored the desperate pleas, interpreting them as weakness. Their broadcasts to the human population were chillingly indifferent, offering them a choice: surrender, or face annihilation. The aliens expected fear, submission, a quiet retreat from these supposed inferiors. Yet humanity had never known retreat. Even as civilians fled to hidden shelters, the military forces stationed on the colony rallied. Small in number, under-equipped compared to the invading armada, yet their resolve was unbreakable. They transmitted their own message back to the alien forces, a final appeal for peace, simple and to the point. There was no bravado, no threats. Just a last attempt to prevent bloodshed. The alien response was dismissive, mocking. They laughed at the humans' restraint, labeling it cowardice. In their arrogance, they couldn't fathom the fury they were about to unleash. Among the soldiers and citizens, there was a shift, a collective realization that negotiation had failed, and they were alone. For many, it was the first time they'd experienced the sensation of true, unfiltered anger at the depths of cruelty before them. Families held each other tightly in dark bunkers, whispered words of defiance on their lips. Soldiers tightened their grips on their weapons, faces set in grim determination. The air was thick with a silent oath. If this was to be their last stand, they would ensure their enemies remembered it. The alien commanders, observing from afar, dismissed the response as insignificant. A handful of poorly armed humans? They were not worried. They did not see the shift, the quiet before the storm. But among the humans, there was no longer any question of survival. The only thought now was retaliation, a vengeance that would echo through the stars. In the hours that followed, as darkness fell over the ravaged colony, humanity's resolve transformed into action. The first strike came as a surprise, catching the alien forces off guard. Without warning, human ground forces launched an unexpected counterattack, their approach relentless and precise. The aliens, relying on advanced sensors and automated defenses, had grown accustomed to reading predictable moves. But humans had adapted, employing tactics that defied conventional logic, weaving through blind spots and exploiting weaknesses the alien commanders hadn't even considered. Explosions erupted across the battlefield as humans launched improvised assaults, mixing stealth with sudden, overwhelming force. Alien ships were hit from unexpected angles, weapon systems scrambled, and pilots disoriented. Humans, often outgunned and outnumbered, struck with a ferocity that left even the most seasoned alien soldiers reeling. Against all odds, human soldiers appeared unstoppable, pushing forward despite injury, exhaustion, and even the bleakest odds. Alien communications buzzed with frantic orders, desperate attempts to organize against the relentless assault. Yet, no command, no strategy seemed sufficient. The humans seemed to operate with an unbreakable will, pressing forward as if powered by something deeper than mere survival. Alien officers who once laughed at the idea of human resilience found themselves overwhelmed by fear as they witnessed the humans' single-minded intensity. The alien commanders attempted to regroup, sending reinforcements and increasing firepower. But the humans met every escalation with a renewed strength, finding ways to disrupt the alien forces from within. They sabotaged energy supplies, hacked control panels, and used makeshift weapons with deadly accuracy. No matter how many setbacks they faced, the humans seemed only to grow more determined. It was as though their very rage fueled them, giving them endurance beyond anything the aliens had encountered. In one corner of the battlefield, a lone human soldier pushed forward with a broken leg, his face grim but focused. Elsewhere, a medic braved heavy fire to drag a wounded comrade to safety. Acts of sacrifice, of unyielding bravery, unfolded everywhere, each one igniting a new layer of fear in the alien ranks. Some of the alien soldiers started hesitating, their resolve faltering as they began to realize the truth of what the alien delegate had warned. The humans were fighting like beings possessed, beyond pain, beyond fear. The relentless onslaught continued, hour after hour, with humans refusing to relent. For the first time, the alien commanders grasped the full weight of their enemy's fury, the depth of resolve that could not be extinguished. The alien forces, no longer sneering, scrambled for ways to contain the human advance, issuing retreat orders in a desperate attempt to salvage their remaining forces. But for the humans, there was no retreat, no surrender, only the unyielding pursuit of victory, no matter the cost. The last alien warship retreated, vanishing into the dark expanse of space, leaving behind a battlefield strewn with the wreckage of a failed invasion. Among the ruins stood the human survivors, weary but unbroken. Their victory had come at a steep price, with losses that weighed heavily on every soul. Yet, in that solemn silence, there was no doubt that they had defended what mattered. They had stood against impossible odds and emerged victorious, proving that no one could ever claim humanity's spirit for their own. Messages began arriving from distant corners of the galaxy. Leaders of alien worlds, once indifferent, now offered words of respect and cautious admiration. Some expressed condolences, others sent promises of reparations, but all recognized what had happened here. Humanity was no mere fringe civilization, no insignificant species to be manipulated or crushed. They were a force, a resilient, tenacious, and indomitable presence that could not be subdued. At the Galactic Council, discussions turned somber. Representatives replayed recordings of the battle, the broadcasts of human messages, and the images of the alien armada in disarray. The once dismissive council members had no words. The alien delegate, who had delivered the warning, sat in silence, watching their reactions. A quiet understanding settled over them, a collective realization of the truth they had ignored. The delegate finally spoke, his voice soft but carrying through the chamber. "Let this be a lesson," he began, his gaze sweeping across the assembly. "For centuries, we have regarded humanity as different, perhaps naive. But they have shown us that underestimating their will was a mistake we cannot afford to repeat." The other delegates nodded, some still in shock, others in awe. Humanity's potential had been laid bare for all to see. The records of the battle would be preserved, shared among worlds as a reminder of the danger of provocation. There was a newfound respect that permeated every corner of the council, a recognition that would forever alter their approach toward humans. Back on the human colony, life slowly began to rebuild. Families reunited, soldiers returned to their posts, and a sense of peace returned. But they all knew that something profound had changed. Humanity was no longer seen as a mere participant in the galactic arena. They were protectors of their own, a people who fought not for glory, but for survival and for each other. And far beyond, across alien worlds, stories of humanity's victory began to spread. It became a tale of warning and respect, a lesson to all who thought of challenging humans. The message was clear: when humans are pushed beyond reason, when they face the darkness of annihilation, they become unstoppable. And for any who might doubt that truth, the galaxy's collective memory would remind them of the wrath they'd seen and the price they'd paid.